So Thanos defended his belt last night once again, and I'm going to be breaking down every single fight that happened on UFC 307. And we didn't do very well on predictions, to be honest, but I just wanted to get into this. Let's just get into this right away. The main event, Alex Pereira, Thanos, is back, and we call him Thanos from now on. That's what we're going to call him. He's literally never lost a fight outside of a couple of flukes. But let's just be honest here. I was really worried for Alex Pereira early on in this fight. I was incredibly worried for Alex Pereira early on in this fight. In fact, I even thought it was the end. And this was before the knockdown. But I honestly was thinking, man, maybe Alex Pereira is just, beating up these awkward, oafy, slow, light heavyweights. And maybe just, knocked out the pillow hand Strickland. But as soon as you get a stocky, fast guy in front of him, he doesn't have a lot of answers. And we saw him get dropped. And it's not like he was getting beat up. It's not like Alex Pereira was getting beat up. It's just that Khalil Rountree, let me just say this. The stars aligned for Khalil Rountree last night. That was the best version of Khalil Rountree the world has ever seen. That was a more dangerous fighter than Yuri Prochazka on both of the nights that Alex Pereira fought Yuri. That was a more dangerous and better fighter than Jamal Hill. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of Jamal Hill where he was yawning in the crowd last night, acting as if, he wasn't the easiest fighter of Pereira's whole career. But I honestly think that version of Khalil Rountree was more dangerous than Adesanya. And we know Adesanya knocked out Alex Pereira, but I know that some people are going to say that this was, I've actually seen some comments this morning saying that this was like a disappointing performance because Pereira was supposed to finish him in the first round. And it's like, yeah, but we didn't expect Khalil Rountree to be as good as he was last night. And so what I'm going to get into in a little bit is talking about how I'm going to rate this win, where Alex Pereira is on the all-time list, because I've seen, I think I saw something, is Alex Pereira entering the GOAT convo? Like, dude, he entered the GOAT convo multiple fights ago, okay? But that was the best version of Khalil Rountree the world has ever seen, and I honestly think just the way he looked last night, how fast he was, and I was predicting this fight based on the idea that Khalil was going to be jittery. That I was saying he's dangerous, but is he really going to actually impose his will and let his hands go and move forward with confidence? Probably not, but he actually did. And I think the whole world is looking at Khalil Rountree with tons of respect today. And I know I didn't mention this yet, but that was the best fight of the year, 100%. Maybe I'm forgetting a couple of fights. I know Makhachev versus Poirier was good, but not even close to this. Not even close. This had me on the edge of my seat. This was a nail biter. And also, dude, I know, listen, Khalil Rountree is a great guy, and he had a great performance, a gutsy performance, but man, I was fucking hyped when Alex Pereira put this man out, because Khalil Rountree gave me a heart attack early on in this fight, dropping Pereira, and we were seeing shades of Pereira getting rocked by Adesanya. And I was thinking, oh man, Khalil's just faster than him, and it's that blitz, it's the right hand down the middle. Pereira can't really deal with it, and the commentators were talking about how Alex isn't really a combo guy, and that could be an issue for him. And then the third round hit, and it's not like Pereira wasn't doing well; he was doing well. But I actually thought Khalil Rountree arguably won the first round and definitely won the second. So it's like, dude, we're going into the third round. Khalil Rountree has dropped Alex Pereira, and he might be winning 2-0. And then Pereira adjusts and reminds us that he's not just the most dangerous striker the world has ever seen, but he's also just better than everyone else on the feet. Like, he's a better striker than everyone. He does have combinations. And in the fourth round, he went ultra instinct. And we're not just talking about, he was putting some Dude, Pereira was putting together fucking video game combinations. Body shots, knees. Dude, it was like, this guy has every weapon and every fucking limb that this guy throws is like a perfect technique strike. There's no one in the UFC that has a better, clinch knee to the dome than Alex Pereira, bro. This guy has like a freakish ability to knee people in the face when he's like an inch in front of their faces. It's unbelievable. And this isn't even like him getting a collar tie and pulling the head down. And, it's not like this is like a classic tie clinch. Dude, they'll just be chilling up against the fence upright, and Pereira just brings his knee up. And it looks like it takes no effort, and he just smashes their skull. And when I say ultra instinct, bro, like, Khalil was still fighting his ass off. I know some people were saying, man, if Khalil just had a gas tank, bro. Like, dude, bro, listen. For all the people that are saying, if Khalil just had a gas tank, let me explain why Khalil Rountree lost that fight. It's not because he just gassed out. It's because he got the shit beat out of him, and he got broken down. His face got severed. His legs got chopped down. All right. And in the fourth round, yeah, he was tired, but he was also just getting his ass kicked. He was also just getting concussed every 5 seconds because Pereira was hitting him with a jab in his eye that was already cut open, that was already probably, broken. I mean, he probably had a broken orbital bone. It's like, dude, that also can just break you down, wear you out. And it's, listen, Khalil Rountree had no lack of toughness, but that's the type of thing that can demoralize you a little bit. It's like you hit Alex Pereira with your best shots, you dropped him, and he's just getting more confident. So this is what I want to say about Pereira's performance. Again, this was the best fight of the year, 100%. 100% this was the best fight of the year. One of the most entertaining fights I've ever seen. I was on the edge of my seat. And again, dude, Khalil Rountree gave me a heart attack early. I was like, dude, maybe he's the answer. Because let's be honest, even though Pereira's fought people that were fast, dude, Khalil Rountree is 10 times faster than Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska and Jan Blachowicz, okay? And he's faster than Sean Strickland. And Adesanya is pretty fast, but it's kind of crazy, even though Khalil Rountree is a light heavyweight, he's faster than Adesanya, and he hits harder. Maybe if Khalil Rountree was fighting a 185 Pereira, he would have put him out. But listen, Khalil Rountree is, in my opinion, just based on the way he looked. I know that we're going to talk about, oh, he was an 8-ranked guy, and let's relax, pump the brakes. This wasn't like an all-time win. It wasn't an all-time win, but we can't just look at Khalil Rountree on paper and be like, oh, well, it was a tough fight for Pereira. That's not, like, we have to actually look at the version that he was last night and think about how great and fast he looked, and then realize that Alex Pereira struggled, overcame adversity, adjusted, and just beat the shit out of him in the third and fourth round, and just showcase that, listen, sometimes he's not going to get an early KO where it's all easy. I mean, that's kind of what was going on in my head. I was like, man, Pereira, this KO is not coming very easily. He's having a really hard time landing that left hook. And the rest of the fight, he had a hard time landing the left hook. It was the uppercut that actually put Khalil Rountree down at the very end after those body shots. But then he just goes out there and shows us that it's obviously he's got a lot of power. But the guy's ability to adjust and mix and his targets up is insane. It's second to none. His leg kicks are OP, right? He wasn't really working with the jab very often in the beginning of the fight, and then makes that adjustment knowing Khalil Rountree's coming in, trying to close the distance and counter hard. Alex Pereira just snaps the jab out there every 5 seconds and makes sure that every time Khalil Rountree thinks about stepping forward, he's going to get a jab in the eye. The jab, the leg kicks. Eventually, when he would rock Khalil Rountree, he would go in the clinch, and Alex Pereira's clinch striking is second to none in the heavier weight classes. Nobody can put it together like Alex Pereira when someone's up against the fence. Mixing body shots, jabs to the body, uppercuts, hooks to the body with the knees. I mean, he just went out there and proved that he's just technically better than everyone. And the ability to adjust was unreal. Pereira's toughness is on another level. He looked like he didn't even get punched in the face once when it was all said and done. His chin, again, you can put him out. He's not got the most granite chin, but, I mean, Khalil Rountree hit him with some ridiculous shots. It was because he was throwing those head kicks early. Those head kicks were worrying me because Pereira got dropped and then he continued to throw a couple of head kicks in the third and fourth round. And Khalil was doing a great job catching those kicks because he's so good at Muay Thai. So that was a thing that was freaking me out. Listen, I was rooting for Pereira hard. Like, I really wanted Alex Pereira to win this fight. Khalil Rountree winning would have been crazy, but to be honest, like, listen, we're all Poetan fans. And I want to see this guy become the GOAT. I want to see new GOATs. Okay? I'm done with the whole John Jones and Mighty Mouse and GSP, bro. We need some new fucking GOATs. So anyone that gets close to GOAT status, like, and is doing it in this fashion, and I'm talking about Islam Makhachev, who's having entertaining fights, but even more so Pereira. Pereira is knocking out everybody. Every single one of his fights, aside from the Jan Blachowicz fight, has ended in a finish outside of the Bruno Silva fight. But like, knocked out Adesanya, then got KO'd by Adesanya. Either way, both of those fights were entertaining. Knocked out Sean Strickland before that. Fights Blachowicz, all right, whatever. Then he KOs Yuri, KOs Jamal Hill, KOs Yuri again, KOs Khalil Rountree. This guy is Thanos. He is at the highest level of the sport in 2024, a day and age where Merab Dvalishvili, Bilal Muhammad, those sorts of fighters are champions. And this guy is in the fucking pocket, slugging away with the highest technique in the world, and he's actually looking for KOs every time, and he's getting them. This is the most valuable fighter in the UFC. He's the MVP of the UFC this year. No one comes close. There's not even an argument. This is the third title fight he's had, and he was a big star going into this year. The third KO he's had, and he just had the fight of the year. His last two fights were easy. We needed something like this, to really wrap things up. We needed a fucking war, and that's exactly what this was. It was a war. Such a good fight. Alex Pereira is top 10 all time. There's no doubt about it. And I don't care if Khalil Rountree didn't necessarily deserve this title fight, if Magomed was a little more deserving. I don't really care, to be honest. The way he looked last night, Alex Pereira just got one of the best wins of his entire career, his entire combat sports career. I think this was a better win than the fight he had against Yuri Prochazka, to be honest. Like, Yuri Prochazka looked like dog shit in some of those fights, man. He looked like shit. If you just compare the way Yuri's fighting, dude, he's got his hands down, and I'm a big Yuri Prochazka fan, but still. And then you got Jamal Hill, couldn't even land more than one punch. I know that Jamal Hill and Yuri Prochazka are former champions, but that version of Khalil Rountree could probably be a champion if he's fighting some of the guys that those other champions fought and became champs against. That was a championship level fighter last night. And Alex Pereira got, beat in a couple of those rounds and just came back to dominate him. And like, dude, I know a lot of people talk about the power man. Dude, that left hook, yeah, he was landing the left hook later on in the fight, but there was no moment where he really rocked Khalil Rountree with a left hook. It was the jabs, it was the uppercuts, it was the knees, it was the body shots. It was the teep to the solar plexus. Pereira's on another level. And this is the thing. This is probably what would have happened, and this is, listen, I'm bringing this up for a reason. Pereira gets better as fights go on. We saw that in the first Adesanya fight. He struggled early, got dropped early, and he was in there the whole time, but, Adesanya was up on rounds. And then in the fifth round, Alex Pereira goes Ultra Instinct and just gets him out of there. And we saw that in this fight as well, but I wanted to bring up the second Adesanya fight where Adesanya knocked Pereira out. Remember, Adesanya's legs were getting, picked apart in that fight, and he looked to be starting to crumble a little bit and get compromised a little bit. Adesanya knocked him out. I mean, that was pretty good for Adesanya, obviously. But I just have a feeling that nobody can outdog and outstrike Alex Pereira in a tit-for-tat kickboxing battle that goes 25 minutes. And I have a feeling that if Adesanya weren't to have if he didn't have knocked him out, okay, this is good. Like, I swear I'm not bringing this up because I'm coping. I'm bringing this up because I'm trying to make a point here. So this is not like, okay, listen, Adesanya knocked him out, okay? But I think if that fight had gone into the third, fourth, fifth, this idea that Adesanya's more technical, but Pereira's got big power. No. Pereira is better than everyone else in the upper weight classes when it comes to like a 25-minute kickboxing battle. He gets better as fights go on. He's insanely durable. Pereira doesn't crumble apart. You know what I mean? He doesn't start crumbling because he's getting leg kicked. Dude, his chin recovers. If he gets dropped, if he gets, KO'd, Pereira's back in the mix the next minute, okay, after taking a break on the stool. So nobody beats Pereira in a 25-minute kickboxing battle. I think that's what I'm saying is, in my opinion, this kind of shuts down this idea that Adesanya, in a kickboxing battle, just 25 minutes, it fucking shuts him down. Like, I don't know about that. But I'm not coping about that. I'm just bringing it up because if fights go into deep waters with Alex Pereira, he wins every time, in my opinion. Unless he's getting dominated and there's someone that's finally been able to take him down and beat him up on the ground, it's different. But if we're talking about, lots of striking exchanges, even against a guy like Magomed, like let's say Magomed fights Alex Pereira next, takes him down, wins a round, it's close on the feet. The later that fight goes, the more moments on the feet there are. Like, Alex Pereira's just going to win that fight. So, yeah, we got to talk about his resume at this point. He's got a win over Adesanya. Obviously, he lost to Adesanya too. I'm sure Adesanya fans fucking love the fact that Alex Pereira's continuing to win because his win is aging better, obviously. He's got a win over Strickland. He's got a win over Yuri twice. He's got a win over Jamal Hill. And he's got a win over Khalil Rountree. And he's got a win over Jan Blachowicz. He's 9-1. I think Alex Pereira's 9-1 is basically on par with Khabib Nurmagomedov's 13-0 at this point. Fair enough, he got knocked out at middleweight, but it's like he's fought in two divisions. Clearly, it's like TJ Dillashaw getting knocked out at 125. Good win for Henry Cejudo, but, you don't look at that win. You don't look at that loss for a guy like TJ Dillashaw and say, well, yeah, he just got, there was nothing he could have done. Like, sometimes you're just severely compromised going into a fight because of the horrific weight cut. The version of Khalil Rountree that Alex Pereira beat last night, that was one of the most dangerous light heavyweights we've ever seen. He stepped up, stars aligned, and surprised, I think, all of us. So Alex Pereira, he's top 10 all time for sure. I mean, who's ahead of him? I'll just name people that I think are ahead of him. John Jones is still ahead of him. GSP is still ahead of him. Mighty Mouse, I mean, I guess, fair enough. But things are getting close. Things are getting close, all right? Beating Khalil Rountree is better than beating Ray Borg. And I don't want to fucking hear this. You know what? Because I just know people are going to be in the comments, and I know people are going to be saying, he was ranked number 8, bro. Relax. It's not about the ranking spot. It's about how they looked on the night of the fight. Okay? It's about how they looked on the night of the fight. If, Alexander Volkanovski. It's like if Alexander Volkanovski showed up against Max Holloway in the trilogy and was 50% slower than he is on like his normal fight nights, and Max Holloway beats him, and you can just tell, wait, there's something really off about Volkanovski. You got to take it with a grain of salt. This was the best version of Khalil Rountree ever. It's an amazing win. Who else is better than Pereira all time? I think Volk, beating Max Holloway 3 times. Listen, we could talk about Khalil Rountree all we want, but Holloway 3 times is a little bit different. Makhachev, Charles, Volk twice, Dustin Poirier, Drew Dober, brother. And you beat David Ramos, brother. Pretty good. It's pretty good, man. Dan Hooker, brother. But, to be honest, is Dan Hooker that much different than Yuri Prochazka? Yuri Prochazka's got, 4 fights in the UFC. Okay? Listen. Alex Pereira's top 10 all time, there's no doubt. Easily. Easily top 10 all time. I think if he beats Magomed Ankalaev, a guy who is, in my opinion, one of the best heavier weight class fighters in the UFC, never loses, by the way. Magomed Ankalaev, he's literally only lost 1 legit fight. I think he beat Jan Blachowicz, so I look at that as a win for him. He's lost one fight to, who is it? Paul Craig. If he beats Magomed Ankalaev, which is, a difficult stylistic matchup, not a nightmare matchup, but a difficult stylistic matchup, I think he beats Magomed. He's top 5 all time. Two more wins. Fuck it. Call this guy the GOAT. 2 more wins. Call this guy the GOAT. And this is the thing. People are going to say, what about John Jones? John Jones was the first light heavyweight ever. Okay? An MMA guru mentioned that. John Jones was the first light heavyweight ever. He was fighting middleweights. He was fighting welterweights. Alex Pereira has fought nothing but light heavyweights. Former champions at that. 6'4", Yuri Prohaska. Jamal Hill, 6'3". Who else are we talking about? Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz has the big blockhead and the hunchback of Notre Dame. Okay, and he's strong. And he manhandled Adesanya. So obviously Jan Blachowicz is a legit light heavyweight. And what else? What else are we talking about? Khalil Rountree, former heavyweight. So I don't actually think he was a former heavyweight, but he obviously used to be heavier back in the day. Amazing win for Alex Pereira. What's next for him? He's 38, 37 years old. He's got to take a little bit of time off because he did get dropped in this fight. This was a battle. This was a war. I don't want to see Pereira fight again this year, all right? I don't want to see him fight before February. I want to see him take November off, December off, January off. Maybe come back February, but, ideally come back in March or something. Wait to see what happens with Magomed and Rakic. If Magomed beats Rakic, Pereira said he wants to stay in this division. Let's do Pereira versus Magomed if he wins that fight. And that's the fight to make. That is the fight to make. There's a chance that they'll do Pereira versus Adesanya, by the way. You just know there's a chance of that, even though Adesanya's coming off of a loss. Especially if Rakic beats Magomed or if it's a boring fight. But, yeah. Pereira, I want to see him take a little bit of time off. I just don't want to see him lose because he's overtrained or, he's taken a lot of damage in a short period of time. He's also old, so I understand why he wants to remain extremely active. He doesn't have that much time. Listen, you got guys like Glover Teixeira, champion in their 40s, and you got guys like Jose Aldo, who looked insanely fast last night, and Pereira's Brazilian. So he can, keep it going for a long time. For whatever reason, these guys from Brazil are able to maintain their speed into a much later age. But I'd like to see him take a little bit more time off than he's been doing. He's been taking 3 months off and then fighting again, doing the old kickboxing thing, and I think that's good for him. But again, this was a longer fight. He took some big shots in this fight. Khalil Rountree, it's really tough for Khalil because it's he had the best performance of his entire career. Maybe he didn't get the finish, maybe he didn't get the win, but when I say the best performance, it's the best he's ever looked, and he really gave, Alex Pereira, who's one of the GOATs, issues in Pereira's fucking prime, basically. He gave him issues, and he still lost. And that sucks, man. It's dude, this guy's been, like anyone else that loses a title fight, but when you give it your all, you do really well, and you still come up short, and you get brutally battered, and you take the damage that he took, it's rough. It is really rough. Because now it's dude, I don't know if we see a Khalil Rountree that looks as good as he did last night. I don't know if we ever see that. Took a lot of damage. I don't know if he's going to be able to take nearly the same punishment. And he'll have easier fights than Alex Pereira, but still, that could be a big career-altering amount of damage that he took. So Khalil Rountree's got to take at least 6 months, But he's 34. He's younger than Pereira, so, but amazing fight. One of the best fights ever. Pereira just goes out there and proves why he's Thanos of the UFC, and he is the face of the UFC at this point, 100%. He's the face of the UFC. And there's no debate anymore. It's not Makhachev. Who else would even be in the running? Jones? You can't be the face of the UFC if you fight once every 5 years. And the fans don't even want you to be fighting for a belt. So it's obviously Pereira. It was between him and Makhachev. And, it's the Pereira era. Makhachev has to go out there and brutally finish Arman Tsarukyan Lightweight MMA is a little bit different. The caliber of skill is a little bit higher, but right now it's the Pereira era. You know, he's dominating this era. We had the Khabib era, we had the Conor era, then we had the Khabib era, then we had the Usman Adesanya Volk era, and now we're getting the and then we had the Charles Oliveira era, and now we're getting the Alex Pereira era. Okay, so Pereira is the face of the UFC. Literally the most entertaining fighter in the world right now, no doubt about that. He took it from Yuri Prochazka. He has that title now. Listen, Yuri Prochazka still having entertaining fights, but he's not having offensive moments. Okay, and you know you can get KO'd, that's still entertaining, but you got to at least have some offensive moments. And Pereira's having the offensive moments. He's the most entertaining fighter in the UFC. Let's get on to the next one. Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena is champ again. And this was an okay fight. It looked like Raquel Pennington was going to win this early on. I think she won the first round, but then Juliana Pena, you know, she's tough. And she just bit down on the mouthpiece, made it happen, had moments in the grappling. But let's be honest, this fight had zero aura. You know, I mean, we had Amanda Nunes. This fight really made me appreciate Amanda Nunes more, because at least when Amanda Nunes fought, it was like, all right, at least we look at her as like a dominant champ. She's not going to lose. Yeah, she's going to win this fight. And at least, you know, there's some greatness going on. There was zero aura in this fight. It was just weird watching it. Like a title fight. They have the black and gold, the golden gloves, and it's Raquel Pennington and Juliana Pena. No one is hyped. It was an okay fight, but it's just, you know, this division is kind of auraless right now. And, you know, we got to have Juliana Pena fight Kayla Harrison. But, you know, I'm happy that she got it done. She's going to be talking shit. Her and Kayla Harrison are going to have a good fight. Kayla Harrison's probably going to win. But then again, Kayla Harrison didn't even look that great. We'll talk about her fight, but congrats to Juliana Pena. Let's talk about this one. Mario Bautista had an incredible performance. Honestly, I thought this was one of the most underrated, entertaining performances of the year, and I'll tell you why. It was because Mario Bautista, he let everyone know early on that he was looking to win this fight. And he did. Let's be serious for a second. I don't know why this is not opening, but either way, let's talk about Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. Bautista edged out the first round. Aldo definitely won the second. It looked like he was starting to take over, and this is kind of how I suspected things were going to go. Aldo started busting up the eye of Mario Bautista. It was kind of like Pereira Rountree, round 3, with Aldo really starting to establish the jab. Credit to Mario Bautista. He imposed his will. You got to give him that. He does impose his will. But he won this fight with smudge. This was a smudge performance from Mario Bautista. That was literally the only thing he did to win the third round, is just pure smudge. This is the definition of smudge grappling. Was this a robbery? I mean, listen, Aldo, I don't think he won the last round, to be honest, but it's like he didn't really have an opportunity. A lot of the big punches that he was swinging in the third round were missing, and the fans were freaking out anyway. But it's like, did Mario Bautista really do a lot either? I mean, sure, he would land a couple of 1-2s and then put Jose Aldo up against the cage, but he really won this with smudge, just gritting down on the old mouthpiece and just, you know, doing everything in his power to just push Aldo up against the fence. Let me just say this. Aldo is the best takedown defense in UFC history. There's no more debate. I know there's not really a serious debate on that, but in general, this just popped into my mind because I was thinking about it. Aldo has the best takedown defense ever. No one comes close. Not Makhachev. None of these fucking wrestlers have better takedown defense than Jose Aldo. I don't know what it is, bro. Obviously, he's got great technique. It's probably that, but mostly his athleticism. I think we can all agree the best takedown defense ever is Jose Aldo. There's no debate at all. If anyone ever brings up who's got the best takedown, it's Aldo all day. He can't be taken down. Not by Merab, not by Bautista, not by anyone. Jose Aldo, the GOAT when it comes to takedown defense. No one comes close. It's insane. He's like 38 years old. It doesn't matter what you throw at him. He just can't come down. There's absolutely no way to take this man down. It's just, it never fails to amaze me. I don't understand how it's fucking possible, but he's like 38 years old, bro. And he's got like this insane takedown defense. He's not even a wrestler, but either way, you know, I really think you can't let people win a fight just by pushing someone up against the cage and stalling and smudging. It's like, fair enough. Listen, I know people are upset at Mario Bautista. He was getting bested on the feet, and he did what he had to do to win the fight. He's getting his win money. Would it have been better for Mario Bautista to, while he's getting touched up on the feet and he's getting pieced up, to say to himself, you know what, fuck it, let's give the fans a show. I'm going to go out on my shield. In the long run, is that actually better for his career? If he gets KO'd by Jose Aldo or beat up by Jose Aldo, Mario Bautista, who's not really a big name, he doesn't have aura. What's next for him? You know what's next for him? Probably like 3 or 4 fights outside of the rankings. And he has to win every single one before he can get a ranked opponent that's on Aldo's level. Or he goes out there, he stinks it up to the oblivion, he beats Aldo. I'm not mad at Mario Bautista. Like, listen, I am upset that it was this boring, but like, listen, he got his win money. He beat Jose Aldo. He has a win over Jose Aldo on his record. And now because he's got a win over such a big name like Aldo, he's going to be fighting higher in the rankings. He did what he needed to do. You know what I mean? But man, I don't think he should have won that fight, because I think that the referee should have stepped in and broke up those exchanges. Now, earlier on in the night, there were moments where there was that referee. I forget the fight. I think it was, I forget the fight. We'll get to it eventually. But the referee kept breaking up clinch exchanges, like with 2 seconds of clinching. I think it was the Ihor Peteria Cesar Almeida fight. We don't need to do that. But like, clearly Mario Bautista wasn't taking down Aldo. That had been established in the first 2 rounds. He wasn't really getting close to it. He wasn't really going for the takedowns and failing them miserably. He was just pushing Aldo up against the fence, head down, doing literally nothing else. I think at that point, the referee has to fucking step in and say, listen, you can't just stall up against the cage. Actually try to advance position and do something and throw strikes. Otherwise, I'm separating you. I'm bringing you in the middle of the octagon, and we're starting the fight there. Yeah, I mean, if that had been done, maybe Aldo would have won, but it is what it is. I don't think this was some brutal robbery, but I do think it was an unfortunate fight. Why the UFC gave Jose Aldo a Mario Bautista fight? Because this is the thing. Aldo, it doesn't matter if he loses. He's still a big name. They can give him another fight. I say you make Aldo versus Corey Sandhagen next. You do Aldo versus Nerdhagen, okay? But then Nerdhagen might do the same thing, because he sees the judges are rewarding this. And you know, Sandhagen, he starts getting the concoctions together and the beakers and the test tubes, and he has a brain blast moment, and he thinks, you know what? I'm actually going to go out there and push this guy up against the fence. Because that's what the judges are going to want. And then you got Jose Aldo, Chad Aldo, having his moments on the feet, but Corey Sandhagen just smudged. Corey Sandhagen's going to turn into Mateusz Gamrot fighting Jose Aldo. Yeah, the refereeing needs to change on that. You can't just be allowing someone to stall like that. So, you know, it was unfortunate. But Aldo, listen, he's going to get a Corey Sandhagen next. I think that's the fight to make. Both guys are coming off of losses. Aldo should have not been fighting Mario Bautista to begin with. I mean, what are we doing? He just beat Jonathan Martinez. Now he's out here fighting Mario Bautista. Why is he not taking a step up? Why is he not getting a bigger name? This is one of the GOATs that we're talking about. So, also, as far as how Aldo looked, extremely fast. Takedown defense was there. It's unbelievable how this guy is still able to look so fast at this point in his career. Mario Bautista, you know, listen, he's got a great gas tank. He's got a good pace. It's going to be a lot easier for him to take down fighters that aren't Aldo. I think he could at least be a top 10 guy in the future. But it was, you know, a very boring performance from him. I feel like Aldo, I mean, what are you supposed to do? If someone just insists on holding you up against the fence, you know what I mean? It's like, you're not really getting beat up. You're not really getting bested in a fight. Someone's just stalling. It's like you're fighting. It's like Mario Bautista was trying not to fight. You know what I mean? It was like he was holding Aldo back. That's what it looked like. It looked like one of those moments, hold me back, bro moment, where Mario Bautista was trying to do everything to make peace and not fight. He was trying to be the peacemaker. He was trying to tell Aldo, listen, it doesn't need to come to this. It doesn't need to come to this. Let's just not fight. That's what it looked like to me. And you can't allow that in a fucking UFC fight. All right, so yeah, let's get on to the next one. Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. I picked Kevin Holland to win this. Early on, Kevin Holland was piecing up Roman Dolidze, just making him look slow, leg kicking the shit out of him, showing the difference between him and MVP and him and Anthony Smith. And eventually, Roman Dolidze took Kevin Holland down. Really good entry, good takedown. And it looked like, it was Kevin Holland wasn't going to get up. He tried to get out of it, tried to roll out of it, broke his rib, and Roman Dolidze beat him up, and that was that. Kevin Holland was obviously severely compromised. He was thinking about fighting the next round, but I think his coach made the right decision. He was definitely going to lose that fight. Kevin Holland, even if he was in pain, man. He was in pain. He wasn't going to knock out Roman Dolidze with a broken rib. He was going to get taken down and beat up again. So I think they made the right call. Good win for Roman Dolidze. The second time he's severely injured people on the ground, you know what I mean? Listen, I don't know if it was that intentional. I honestly do think it was a little bit of a fluke injury, but that shit will happen in fights sometimes. It's unfortunate, but the way that fight was going, it would have been really rough for Kevin Holland to be able to consistently get up to his feet. A little bit of a weird win, but whatever. We saw, Kevin Holland land some punches, Roman Dolidze have some grappling moments. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. Kevin Holland needs to take some time off. And Roman Dolidze, who knows who he's going to fight next. Kayla Harrison versus Ketlin Vieira. I thought this was a pretty underwhelming performance from Kayla Harrison, but at the end of the day, she still won. It was very close. Ketlin Vieira won the second round. She, elbowed Kayla Harrison on the forehead and gave her a bit of a bump on her forehead. But Kayla Harrison won the first. She definitely won the third, especially with the ground control at the end of the third. She got it done. It is what it is. This was a step up in competition from the last fight that she had where she was up against a old Holly Holm, who's way past her prime. And now she is able to get it done against Ketlin Vieira. Kayla Harrison could be a champ, to be honest. But, this fight was a little bit underwhelming. She's, it is what it is. She's not the best striker, but we'll see what happens with her in the next one. This is the one that shocked me. Now, I picked Joaquin Buckley. I thought he was going to control Wonderboy on the ground. Wonderboy's takedown defense, it's not Aldo level, but it's pretty freakishly good for his age. Okay, Stephen Thompson's 42 years old, and nobody can keep him down easily. Okay, and take him down easily for that matter as well. Every time Joaquin Buckley would take Wonderboy down, he would just get right up to his feet instantly. It's kind of crazy how he's able to do it. Early on, he was piecing up Joaquin Buckley. It looked like Buckley was in for a rude awakening, right? But as the fight went on, the big difference was, and this is the thing that we got to talk about. I mean, you guys already know what it is. Wonderboy's got zero power in his hands. He's not knocked someone out for 50 years. He's got zero power. He's got no thud. He has pillow hands. And the way you beat Wonderboy is by giving him no respect and throwing wild punches. And that's what we saw Joaquin Buckley start to do in the second and third round. Basically bit down on the mouthpiece, said, fuck it. I'm going to fucking swing everything into my punches. This guy has no sting on his punches. Wonderboy caught him with some head kicks. But that's the thing, bro. Wonderboy can catch you with a freaking spinning wheel kick to the dome. Wonderboy can throw a flying scissor kick, and it can hit you on the chin when you're doing a 360. All right? You could be running towards Wonderboy full force and literally dive into a spinning heel kick, and you're going to get a little bit dazed for a second. Wonderboy has no pop. And this is dude, that's the only explanation. He's better than people on the feet technically, but it's he has no power. You don't have to respect him. And Joaquin Buckley, as he realized that the takedowns weren't coming easily, he just started putting everything into his punches, throwing big meaty hooks, and eventually, I mean, it was pretty crazy. We rarely see Wonderboy get knocked out. Wonderboy has a really good chin. It was pretty shocking, I mean, especially Joaquin Buckley, who's not really known as the best striker. He does the bobbing and weaving like Mike Tyson, but he never has the results of a Mike Tyson. He's never knocking people out. Joaquin Buckley's been more of a grappler as of recent, and he got the KO. Buckley's really good. Buckley is really good. We always talk about lighter man skill. Buckley's moved down for middleweight, and now he's killing these welterweights. So Buckley is, I cannot believe we're saying this in 2024 because I didn't think this last year, but Buckley's actually very good. And only 30 years old, but this guy is going to be in the top 10 for a long time. Whereas back in the day, I thought Joaquin Buckley was, he was going to be an unranked guy. He's not that great. He's going to get outstruck easily. We thought of him as, he gets knocked out by long-rangey strikers. But, man, he went out there, knocked out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson brutally in the third round. Gave him no respect. That's exactly what you have to do when you're fighting Thompson. You just have to fucking get after it. Be willing to take damage. Put him up against the fence and just, put everything into your strikes, just knowing that you ain't going to get KO'd. And he did it. So I don't know what's next for Buckley. Called out Usman. That's a great fight to make. Usman's going to try to big bro Joaquin Buckley, and he's going to, tell us a ghost story on why that fight doesn't make sense and how Joaquin Buckley is, biting off more than he can chew. And he's going to be saying, Buckley, go sit in your place, man. And, the big boys are talking. I've been winning title fights. But Usman's been out of the cage for a year, okay? So I think that's actually a good fight to make. Buckley versus Usman on a pay-per-view. Actually, you could literally make that the co-main event of Shavkat Rakhmonov and Bilal Muhammad. You could make it the co-main event. If Buckley beats Usman, you know what? Joaquin Buckley is becoming more of a fan favorite every time he fights. He's like the non-champion. He's having like the non-championship Alex Pereira run right now. Not when it comes to the KOs and all that, but Buckley's winning left and right. That's all he's doing these days is just winning. Nursultan Ruziboyev, Vicente Luque, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and he's having entertaining performances, and he's fighting often. Like he's having his own, Kevin Holland 2020 year right now. And maybe Usman, maybe that's a bit of a too big of a jump up. But if not Usman, like, what else are you going to do? What are we going to do? Leon Edwards versus Joaquin Buckley? Like, listen, I'm not interested in that. Let's do Joaquin Buckley versus Kamaru Usman or Joaquin Buckley versus JDM. And you know what? Even though you could say, well, Joaquin Buckley shouldn't be that close to a title fight. If he beats Usman, why not? If he beats a former champion, why not? And the same thing about JDM. If he beats JDM, why not? Because JDM is one win away from a title fight too. Either way, amazing win for Buckley. Stephen Thompson, great striker, amazing takedown defense, just no pop. And at this point in his career, it's kind of sad to see. He's very good, but he just can't hurt people. That's the big issue with his game. He cannot hurt people. So yeah, let's get on to the next one. Marina Rodriguez, Yasmin Lucindo, great fight. Hubbard versus Hernandez. I think I forgot to pick this. I didn't see it on the UFC website at the time, but good win for Alexander Hernandez. Hubbard, honestly, I thought he won the third round for sure, but very good fight, amazing fight, good scrap. Hernandez, for whatever reason, just can't finish people these days. He used to finish everyone back in the day, but not anymore. Austin Hubbard, going to show that, those guys on the McGregor-Chandler season of Tough ain't so bad. Ain't so bad, right? Cesar Almeida, Ihor Potieria. I thought this was a pretty good fight. Lots of shitty refereeing. I mean, listen, I thought that Ihor Potieria I thought he got fucked over in this fight. Because he was trying to clinch, trying to grapple. The referee would pull him off every 2 seconds into the grappling exchanges. He got eye poked like 3 times. But good win for Cesar Almeida. But I just think, it was a little bit of a weird fight. Ryan Spann versus OSP. Rocked OSP with a right hand early. Joe Rogan was talking about Ryan Spann is just one of those guys that just has all the talent in the world. all the talent in the world and just sometimes doesn't put it together. It's like, listen, not everyone that knocks people out and gets finishes is like, capable of being champ, all right? This OSP that we're talking about, he's like 40 years old. Still a good performance from Ryan Spann. Great performance. Put him away. Rocked him with the right hand. Subbed him. Got him with the guillotine. Really good submission from Ryan Spann. We know he's dangerous on the ground as he is on the feet as well. But I just think it's funny when every time Ryan Spann fights, maybe this is something that Anthony Smith started, but every time Ryan Spann fights, they talk about him like, if this guy just put it together, he'd be the GOAT of the sport. Like, I don't understand that. But a good win for Ryan Spann nonetheless. Court McGee versus Tim Means. Court McGee gets it done. Carlos Barza, Tisha Pennington gets it done. So let me see how many I got right and how many I got wrong. Court McGee, Tim Means, I got that wrong. I got this one wrong. I got this one right. Oh, I got that one wrong. That's 3 wrong. 1 right. Wow. I got 4 wrong and 1 right. 2 right, 4 wrong. 3 right. 3 right and 5 wrong. 3 right and 6 wrong. 3 right and 7 wrong. So I went 4 and 7. 4 right, 7 wrong. I did pretty terribly on this card, but, it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Pereira and Rountree saved the card. If it wasn't for that fight being so good, this card would have been shit. But it is what it is. I enjoyed watching it. The main event was one of the best fights I've ever seen. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time.